is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Bettor Sports Network, Bettor Sports Betting Show here. I am Dan Servodidio, along with Howard Bender, some fantasy alarm guys repping Bettor Sports Network here, talking MLB best bets, NBA, NHL, everything in between. Howard, how are you doing, man? Our first show here going live.
Right. I think this is a fantastic show. And the fact that we're going to be able to do this Monday through Friday to kind of help people along, I think is going to be great. It's not just going to be you and me, though. We're going to get some other analysts in here, obviously. NBA, NHL, not my forte here, but also, we get in some better differing opinions for things like MLB when you're talking with like John and Pemba, James Grande. So, yeah, this is going to be a great show, man. I'm very excited about it. 4 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday is where I'm going to be.
Yeah, we're starting out probably about a half hour at least going to start here. But, if you guys are asking questions, commenting, you got games you want to talk about, bets you got going live. If we got some afternoon baseball eventually, we'll be sure to go longer than a half hour if you guys want. But yeah, we are talking some, you and I's MLB best bets today. But as I mentioned, we got some NBA and NHL talk because both those playoffs are, in their conference finals right now. And I know I'm tuned in. I know you are too. So we got Justin Fensterman coming on to talk some NBA in a little bit. And hockey, we got Chris Murray from Fantasy Alarm. Both of them have some articles out on the site now if you want to go check those out. By the way, on the site right now, check out Howard's Best Bets article. We'll be sure to talk about a couple of these games for MLB Best Bets, and that is subscription-based. And by the way, for Fantasy Alarm, go get that All-Pro access, All-Pro package to Fantasy Alarm right now. You get the award-winning DFS playbooks. As I mentioned, Fantasy's got his NBA playbook right now, covering all different sports, 10 different sports, and ahead of fantasy football NFL season. You definitely want that. It's got NFL betting content, podcasts we got out there, the Discord chat, which chime in right now, get your questions in, get your comments in, and we'll be talking that. First, 6 months off, 50% off with promo code ALARM50 at fantasyalarm.com. So get started with your free trial today, promo code ALARM50. Howard, let's get into it. I want to talk MLB best bets right away here. And I mentioned your article. You gotta play there, and I'm interested in. I'll let you kick it off here with your top pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and by the way, for those of you wanting to just maybe take Fantasy Alarm for a quick spin, we are running a 7-day free trial there as well. So, again, go over to fantasyalarm.com and, if you don't have a subscription, click on any of the DFS or betting articles and you'll end up, you'll be prompted for that. So sign up for free, take it for a free spin, and then see what happens after 7 days. But yeah, listen, baseball today, first game on the slate here. I'm super pumped about this. Arizona Diamondbacks at the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? I mean, that's my best bet here today is the Arizona Diamondbacks on the run line, -1.5 runs, -105. I got that this morning. I actually grabbed that off of BetMGM. And, here's the thing about it. Pittsburgh, we all knew that they were going to level off. They were playing way above their heads. So to see them now pull back, they've lost 12 out of their last 15. They're like all of a sudden they're down in fourth place in the AL Central. And Johan Oviedo, Johan Oviedo is on the mound for Pittsburgh, and he's been getting knocked around a little bit. 18 earned runs over his last 17 and 2/3 innings, 12 walks as well. So Arizona's playing a really, really tight game. They're playing, they just shipped out like 2/3 of their outfield, but they've got some great run support that's happening, inside. Christian Walker is playing well. Corbin Carroll's playing really well. And what I like about this one here is, though, it's Zach Gallen who's on the mound.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Gallen has looked absolutely phenomenal this year. Everything I thought he was going to be 2 years ago before he ended up getting that forearm injury. He had like a fracture, like a stress fracture in his forearm. Yeah. So he's really bounced back a ton here. And, and it's always nice to take the visiting team laying that 1.5 because at least they still get the full 9 innings of at bats. That's one of the things. it's rough when you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so my team is ahead by 1, but they're the home team, and you took the run line. You miss out on an inning's worth of at bats for your team, for the home team there. So Arizona road run line, yum.
I love that. Yeah, the D-backs have been a team that I've been looking at because their offense is just one of those underrated offenses as you were going through it. I mean, a team that can really light up a pitcher that's just not ready for it. So yeah, I like that. And the Gallon play, so that strikeout prop was a part of Colby Conway's Prize Picks video today.
Ah.
That's one that he likes, and I know I'm not to ruin the surprise, but I think you're on that too, right?
You ruined a good surprise. Boo. Yeah, give me the over 6.5 strikeouts. I mean, it's -120 on BetMGM. What I like about that is I'm also going to parlay those two together. Zach Gallen on the over
Oh yeah,
strikeouts, take Arizona on the run line, because -105, -120. It'll bring you to plus odds for both legs of that to hit. And it's a nice solid bet. Zach Gallen, I think he's hit that over in like 4 out of his last 6 or 4 out of his last 5. Definitely dig it on that one there. What about you? You got a best bet?
yeah. I'm going Cardinals on the money line. I got it at +120 last night, and it's now creeping up to +100, almost even odds. Dodgers are favorites here, rightfully so, because St. Louis was pretty bad to start the year, and I think people are starting to catch on to them now. But they're 9-2 in their last 11. After starting out that 10-24 stretch, and their offense has really caught fire. 16 runs last night, 18 runs a few nights ago, and 16 runs against the Dodgers pitching staff last night. I mean, I want to ask you real quick about the Cardinals. Like, has your opinion changed on them? Because I think my opinion is just completely flipped. That this is like the Cardinals team that we kind of expect would be, leading the division. As you mentioned, the Pirates kind of taking a turn down.
Yeah, this is definitely the turnaround for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
They've been like this now for like the past 2.5 weeks, where all of a sudden the offense has really stepped it up. I mean, they've been having their issues. The Wilson Contreras debacle behind the plate is really, I think that there was a lot going on there. Ollie Marmol, I think, is a struggling manager. I don't think that he's handling the team very well. Way overcrowded in the outfield, and I don't know if he's like used to coaching little league, but not every guy has to play an inning.
No.
So I mean, I was resentful that they sent down Jordan Walker. I thought that was ridiculous. But now what we're seeing here with St. Louis is that this is the offense that we were expecting. I mean, their numbers over the past, even just the past 7 days, it's a WOBA over 400. They've hit 20 home runs now in the past week. I mean, they are absolutely fired up here. And so, you taking them on the money line here, I definitely dig it. I actually made Cardinals Dodgers one of my best bets also. I'm just taking the over. I know people are going to be like, oh, well, you're right. And people are like, oh, well, you're overreacting to 24 runs last night. Hello, Steven Matz.
Yeah. Well, that's the one reason why I have a little bit pause on taking the Cardinals money line. But the Dodgers are on their bad end of their splits. They're kind of a below average offense near the bottom of the league, actually, against lefties lately and overall this season. The lineup outside of like the top end of that lineup, it's just not as scary, especially against left-handed pitching. And I look at the other side here. You mentioned the Cardinals offense just red hot. Since the beginning of May, and over the last couple of weeks in general, but since the beginning of May, a league best 376 WOBA against right-handed pitching. Overall this year, they've been among the top 5 to 10 teams against right-handed pitching in most categories. So this is a team that hit lefties well last year, but it's kind of flipped this year. They're a better right-handed hitting offense this year, and they're facing Tony Gonsolin, who, look, on the surface, he's got a 1.42 ERA. You look at that, and it's like, okay, this is maybe the breakout guy we saw last year since he's returned here. But the advanced metrics tell us some negative regressions coming. And I always like looking at this, looking at FIP, looking at expected ERA. And I know you do too, Howard. It's like, one of these starts, a pitcher kind of just has a blow up outing or just a shakier outing. And Gonsolin, he's got a 4.08 FIP. 3.32 expected ERA, a 196 BABIP, which is really low, 80% left on base rate right now. So I see all these numbers and I see the matchup against these Cardinals and the Cardinals runs. I would look at a team total over for the Cardinals too. I like that, but I like your over for the game too. I just think it's going to be one of those games where the Cardinals have success on offense.
And I know you're going to hate me for this, Servo. I know it, but
Okay.
I'm getting plus odds on Mookie Betts over 1.5 total bases. I mean, I know he's never faced Steven Matz before. There's zero BVP data to take a look at. But, listen, Mookie Betts has a 408 weighted on base average against left-handed pitching. And he's kind of in a little bit of a groove right now. So I'm definitely looking at Mookie for that. But listen, I told you, as long as it goes over, as long as Mookie gets his, dude, I will root so hard for Steven Matz to be successful against the Dodgers.
Yeah, I like your plus odds for him. Let's just say Mookie gets a leadoff double and then call it a day. How about that?
It's a day, right? And then of course the Cardinals have to put up, just 9 runs tonight. That's all. I mean,
if they win, 9 or 10
nothing,
tonight. We're good. So yeah, I like the plus money on that. We'll get to some more MLB best bets a little bit later, but we got to go to NBA right now because we got a big game 2 coming up tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Heat against the Celtics. We're bringing in our guy Justin Fensty Fensterman. You can follow him on Twitter at Fensty Sports. If you don't know him or follow him, go check him out now because he's the king of NBA. Fensty, what's going on, man?
Oh, excited for a big game 2 tonight. It's great seeing you guys there. Congrats on the new show, Mazel Tov, Servo and Howard.
Yeah, congrats on being our first guest. How about that?
Oh, man, that's, you know what? List of accomplishments, that's one seed right there.
This has been on my bucket list to do a show with Fensty and Servos simultaneously. Check.
We're doing it. Let's talk about this game tonight. You have the NBA DFS playbook out right now, as I mentioned earlier. So if you're looking to play some DFS, go check that out right now. Fensty does an awesome job there. But this game, the Heat stole game 1 on the road. The Celtics are big favorites here. 9.5 is the spread. Heavy favorite on the money line. How do you see this one playing out from a betting standpoint? Do the Celtics kind of win this one easy as Vegas is suggesting?
No, because the Heat are so well coached that I don't think any win against this team is going to be easy. And that's the problem. I see that spread. That is a big, big spread. Do I see the Celtics evening the series? Absolutely, I do. But it's not obvious, and I don't think that they're going to be able to cover because of what Miami can do. Out of all the teams that we've seen in the playoffs, guys, from all the games that I've watched, I've seen this Miami Heat team adjust successfully more than any other team. And again, good coaching. Guy who was a video coordinator 25,000 years ago for the team. He's making do on the tape, and that's why the Heat have been so competitive. Now, the difference between tonight and last game, because last game I was expecting more of a 90s-style defensive stalwart effort, but then it didn't happen. We had a lot of scoring. Tonight, I'm expecting that scoring to go down a little bit overall. I don't think the Heat are going to shoot as well from downtown. Boston has been the best shooting team, though, from distance, so I could see them getting up that percentage a little bit, and that's going to put them over the top in this game. So I see it remaining close. I don't see it remaining, though, guys, as high of a scoring game as it was last time.
Which I think is great. I'm seeing it right now at 9.5. I was looking this morning, and it was -9. It was -110 either way. So, obviously Vegas is telling you also that they kind of feel like it could get close. The fact that it went to 9.5 definitely kind of makes me want to take Jimmy Buckets in the Heat on that one. What about some you got any props? I was looking over through some other stuff here on the Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm, and Ricky props all in on Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry. He's got some action on. So I know that you got some favorites here, Fensty. Where are you going?
Absolutely, and it has to start with Bam Adebayo, and I actually kept him as a captain option on my DFS NBA playbook article, which is up on fantasyalarm.com now, as you guys talked about before. And the reason is to try to be a little bit different because there's going to be a ton of attention on Tatum and Butler per the usual. So if you want to get a little bit of a point of differential, that's where Bam comes in. 17.5 points is the prop. And I thought this was going to go up from last game. We've seen him have so much success, Bam Adebayo, against the Celtics throughout the year. We've seen him go over this number a lot lately. And if the Celtics are going to adjust at all and even limit Jimmy Butler to the slightest, they're going to have to, the Heat, design more plays in the post for Bam Adebayo. And for the first round and a half of the playoffs, they didn't do that. They let the guy bring up the ball like he's a point guard, but they don't design post plays for the big man. Doesn't make sense. But then they figured out that, oh, this guy is around 7 feet and he can operate out of the post. And we've seen that success ever since. So, guys, I am very much over 17.5 points for Bam Adebayo, to the point where even if it loses, I'm still not going to crush myself for it, even though I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm not, because he just continues to go over this, and the Heat would be stupid to not give this guy 10 to 15 shots.
I want to ask you about the series price. The Heat winning game 1, as I mentioned. Say the Celtics win tonight, the price on the Heat might, go in a way that might not be favorable. So if you want to bet the Heat, the Celtics now might be the best chance. But if the Heat win tonight, the price is going to go down even more for the Heat. So I'm looking at, on DraftKings right now, the Miami Heat to win the series plus 170, the Celtics at minus 210. Or either of those numbers, like, you're interested in before this game tips off, to go either way on that bet, considering who could win tonight.
Right. Ultimately, I'm still thinking the Celtics are going to win this series. Now they go down 0-2. That's a little bit of a different story, but we saw them bounce back nicely. And I know that every series is very different, but the Heat have actually struggled a bit to get that victory in game 2 in their past 2 series. So I think that's going to be a problem. And they getting a split, that's all they can ask for, being that they're the road team. So, Servo, I still have it in the mindset that this series is going to be tied after tonight. And with that, I think the Celtics are going to ultimately win it, whether it's 6 games or 7 games. Originally thought 6. Now I'm thinking 7. Now they go down 0-2. That's a different story, and that's because of how great of a defensive team the Heat are. Then all of a sudden you're going to get this appealing value price in the odds for the Celtics. And I don't know if I can take that. I don't know if I have the stones to take that because of how good the Heat are on the defensive side of the basketball.
You got no marbles? Is that what you're saying? No marbles?
On that, no, but on other things, I do.
Well, let me ask you here. We look at Denver and they've got Nikola Jokic. You look at the Lakers and it's LeBron and AD. You look at the Heat and it's Jimmy Buckets. Do we look at is Jason Tatum, is he that player for Boston, or does it need to be a much more balanced kind of a situation? And what's the Celtics depth looking like behind him?
So with Jason Tatum, I'm not going to say it's a live or die situation. We've seen games where he hasn't performed well, but the team's still done well, and that shows their depth. It's not like that when it comes to Jimmy Butler. I'm still thinking that Tatum is going to be set for a big game. There was maybe a period of about an hour, whether or not I was thinking about even fading him, but still we saw, even with the lack of the shot volume, I was expecting him to shoot more than he did, Howard, last game, and he didn't. He's still able to score 30 points, though, and that's just a testament to him. He could turn a very poor shooting night into still a good stat line. So I do think that everybody else does follow him. But they're going to need contributors as well, like Malcolm Brogdon, which is what they were missing last year in the finals. Malcolm Brogdon listed as probable. He shouldn't be impacted too much. Dealing with a minor forearm strain. For a second, I thought he went to the baseball mound for a minute with all these forearm injuries we're seeing there in the MLB. But I don't think that'll impact his shot too much, but they're going to need him to score. And they're going to need Marcus Smart to hit some threes as well. And that's why, guys, tonight, when it comes to Marcus Smart, he's become, pun intended, a lot smarter of a player than he was in the past. He doesn't take his off balance of shots. So if you're looking for something with Marcus Smart tonight, you could look at his points. But just in case the shot isn't on for him tonight, I figured a better bet is to go with his dimes over 5.5 assists. That's one of the other bets that I have tonight. But I know a ton of people that are looking at his points assist prop because he's taken smarter shots all of a sudden. Before that, he would get frustrated and take off balance. But he has learned that when his shot isn't on, or if he's not getting the looks, just pass the ball.
Yeah, I want to switch gears over to tomorrow's game. We got the Nuggets, Lakers. Nuggets going up 2-0 in this series. Western Conference Finals, moving to LA here. The Lakers are 5.5 point favorites on the spread. Decent money line favorites at minus 225. How are you seeing any early leans on this game for tomorrow. Is this a Lakers win? Are they bouncing back to try to, even up the series eventually?
Yeah, I think this is a Lakers win. Now, I thought they were going to win last night. I did not expect Denver to do what they did late in that game. They couldn't miss or anything like that. They must have knew it was Jim Bowden's birthday or something like that, because it seemed like, guys, they weren't missing a shot in the fourth quarter. It was kind of freaky. And now going into this game, I'm expecting LeBron, because one of the things LeBron James has to do, and I've seen people all over Twitter crying about it, as they should, he's got to abandon the long-range shooting. If you're down by even double digits early in the fourth quarter, you got to go and play with your strengths. And for LeBron James, that's his driving. It's not even taking open threes from the top of the key. That's still not his game. He's a very powerful driver. So I'm expecting a very, very up-tempo, aggressive Lakers driving offense tomorrow to cut their deficit to 2-1 in the series.
Got it.
See. I don't, you know me. I mean, listen, I'm not
Right.
betting that series. I have too much emotional capital at stake in that Lakers. Lakers.
I would be so jealous of you, Howard. They go down 0-3, and then you get a show with Jim right after that. Please, man, that's open season right there. You can't be in a better position.
Pull.
That's right.
Well, Fensty, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate you spending some time to talk about these series. I'm sure we'll bring you on again. By the way, if you guys haven't already, check out his DFS playbook. Who's your favorite value play before you go? Favorite under the radar play tonight?
Under the radar play, it's going to have to go back to Robert Williams, because I'm thinking he's going to play 25 to 30 minutes. He's still very cheap tonight. And he was getting open on that low block, and I was just shocked that he was getting as many open looks from down low as possible. The Heat have done an incredible job of guarding that paint. But because of the way that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum play at the elbow, you need that extra defender. I put this in the write-up. You need that extra defender on them constantly, meaning some spot of the court's going to get open. And we saw last game that the low block was wide open for him, and he doesn't need a lot of minutes to produce points and boards. So I'm willing to roll with him tonight. So that's definitely the value play that I'm looking at.
Sweet. Well, appreciate you taking some time here. Enjoy the game tonight. We will, as I said, we will definitely talk to you at some point soon to talk about these games, and even ahead of the NBA Finals, which I can't wait to see which teams we get there. But if you follow Fensty at Fensty Sports on Twitter, if you haven't already, Fantasy Alarms NBA guy. Thanks, Fensty.
Hey, guys, thank you again for having me, and congrats again on the new show. Cheers.
Thanks, buddy. Yo, you guys can also check out Fensty on the SiriusXM Bettor Cast, the Fantasy Alarm Bettor Cast, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. Him and Adam Ronis, the bickering Bickersons, as I like to call them.
And with that, we'll switch gears here, talk some NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and bring on our guy Chris Murray from Fantasy Alarm. What's up, Chris? You pumped for these games? We had a crazy 4 overtime game last night. Did you watch every single minute of it?
I had enough time to watch half the game, went to go play hockey at 10 o'clock Eastern, came back dead tired, and got to watch a full other hockey game. I was up until 2 a.m. watching it. Yes. I was pot committed. I had no choice.
Wow, it was 2 full games there.
Dude, it was phenomenal. I mean, come on, let's face facts here. What's going on in the NHL right now would have been so much better had the Kraken come away and beaten the Dallas Stars to be in the Western Conference Finals. But what we're seeing from Florida, I mean, is this not the perfect definition of a hockey playoff scenario where you get a tomato can like Bobrovsky, who all of a sudden looks like, he should have been the Vezina Trophy winner for the last 10 straight seasons. Like, he's playing out of his mind right now. Florida's defense looks great. They end up winning on the road again in overtime to kind of pull the home ice advantage out of the way. I mean, how can you not be excited about what the Florida Panthers are doing right now?
They're definitely reminding everybody that what you do in the regular season means absolutely nothing when you get to the playoffs. Because A lot of people will remember Florida. The only reason they made the playoffs is because the Pittsburgh Penguins could not secure one win against the Chicago Blackhawks or the Columbus Blue Jackets, two of the worst teams in the league. One of them, which is getting the first overall pick. So they kind of slide in here. I gave them no chance against Boston, and then they did what they did against Boston. I didn't think they were going to get past Toronto. I thought maybe that first series was just too much for them. And then, Toronto fans chanting, "We want Florida," and they said, "Okay, here, hold my beer. We got that." And now they show up in that round again. I didn't have them against Carolina, but the longer that game went on, the more you could feel it was just going to go Florida's way. They were kind of there, not really there. They got outshot a lot, and then that period kept going, and you knew it was going to come at some point if Carolina didn't finish, and that's exactly what happened. But yes, I'm old enough to remember when Bobrovsky couldn't stop a beach ball, and now it looks like he's a human wall, and nothing is going to get past him. He had I don't have enough fingers or toes to count the number of big saves he made yesterday. He was on it.
That's the joke. It's a beach ball. It's so big that you can't even stop the beach ball. Come on. A Goon reference right here on the show.
Chris a couple movie references going on already.
Give me Chris Murray. His province's syrup might be trash, but nevertheless, he's Well,
Chris, I want to ask you about tonight's game because we got a good one. The Western Conference Finals game 1. By the way, if you haven't checked out Chris's predictions for both conference finals, go check that out. It's on fantasyalarm.com right now. You could see his series predictions for both matchups. But tonight's game, Dallas Stars against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Golden Knights only small favorites at home, minus 125 on the money line. We got a 5.5 goal total here. Where are you seeing this game from a betting standpoint? You taking Dallas as the underdogs? You rolling with Vegas as the small favorites? Where are you going here?
I'm going to roll with Vegas tonight. This is an at-home game for them. They've played really well so far in the playoffs. They made Winnipeg look like they were not really deserving to be there. And they've pulled off the impossible. They limited as much as they could Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, which I feel nobody was able to do this season. They just kept them somewhat at bay. They still scored goals. McDavid was still himself. Leon Draisaitl has eyes behind his head. He was doing things that he should, but they still managed to come away with the win. They slowed everybody else down. They managed to survive that ridiculously elite power play that the Edmonton Oilers had. They were operating like a 50%, which is just, it's video game numbers at that point for them. So they've come all the way here. Jack Eichel is elite. Jonathan Marchessault is really, really hot of late. We know that the Vegas Golden Knights are good defensively. Who knows who Alex Pietrangelo is going to chop off which arm tonight. But if he, as a unit, defensively, they are good. It seems like it doesn't matter who plays in goal for them, right? Howard, you could suit up for them in goal, and I think you could probably win.
Oh, I've got the girth. I got the
absolutely.
girth. It's
good. The Jonathan Quick build kind of thing, just there. Aiden Hill comes in and misses nothing. Laurent Brossoit, even though going down, just played well. So I think the goaltending is good enough there. Jake Ottinger and the Stars, they just don't look like they're still operating at 100%. Jason Robertson, he just can't find the back of the net. And if he's not going, the rest of that offense kind of seems to stall, with the exception of Captain America, Joe Pavelski, who seems to be defying Father Time. But I don't see Dallas going into Vegas, right, into that environment and coming away with a win, especially seeing how they played that last series. I don't see it coming. Seattle is a very good offensive team, and the Vegas Golden Knights are just as good, if not better. So I think that's going to be a tough matchup for the Stars, at least in game 1. And we'll see how they correct themselves after that.
So, Chris, when we're betting NHL, to bet individual games, one of the things that, you kind of look when you get to the point here where you're in the conference finals, I feel like things kind of tighten up a little bit. And I almost want to just keep playing the under. Obviously there's going to be a couple of outlier games, but like you just said, like Draisaitl's gone. We know that McDavid is gone. We know Austin Matthews is gone from Toronto. Like there aren't, the elite of elite superstars who are floating out there right now. Does leaning the under kind of make sense as I'm betting these series?
I mean, Howard, that's a ton of disrespect for Jason Robertson and Jack Eichel, who probably would like to have a word with you right now. But I mean, I
Eichel
think
with his big 66 points this year. Ooh, come on.
I mean, what about Marchessault? We're just going to ignore him and Joe Pavelski.
Are you going to put them on the? Are you going to put them on the same front as a McDavid or like a Nathan McKinnon?
But nobody should. Nobody should. Those are unicorns. Those are things we don't see. But I understand
that
Howard
is challenging some hockey players to a fight. By the way, I just want to put that.
I know, right?
There is zero chance I am challenging any hockey player to a fight. I couldn't beat up Wayne Gretzky right now, and the dude's 137 years old at this point.
I don't know if I would bet the under flat out. I do believe, at least for DFS purposes, the playback I bet today, I have a feeling that Vegas is always right. So I think this is going to be maybe a lower scoring game. But it would not shock me at all to just see pucks flying in. I mean, like a 3-2 first period kind of thing where neither goalie kind of settles in. Again, Jake Ottinger hasn't been really good up until this point. He's been fine. He's been decent, but I mean, he's got a 275 goals against average and a 903 save percentage. That is good. But at this point of the stage, it's just not where it needs to be. He's not on the same level as Bobrovsky. He's not on the same level as Frederik Andersen that was yesterday. So I could see goals going both ways.
Are you trolling me with Freddie Andersen talk? Are you trolling me with Freddie Andersen talk right now?
I mean, Freddie Andersen left Toronto, and everything seems to be a lot better ever since he went to a team that's good defensively. So, I mean, he was falling apart for a couple of years, and then once you get out of the 6, everything seems to be okay. I may have like just a little bit of money on the over just because I just want to live life on the edge of my seat a little bit. But it would not shock me if we see like a really tight game with so many of, like I said, with Robertson being unable to score goals and with maybe Vegas trying to play a much more defensive game. I mean, again, Vegas is third in the playoffs in goals for per game. So they can score goals, and they did that against the Edmonton Oilers, who, despite having their own issues in goal and defensively, they possess the puck at a super high level, which the Dallas Stars don't do. So I feel like Vegas has it at a little bit of a flip either side, right? There's not a huge lean on each way. So I think maybe they're not quite sure either how it's going to go. And I think just most people think, like you said, those elite players are not there, that we're just not going to see any goals. And I don't think that's the case.
And Chris, as you mentioned, you got the NHL Showdown DFS playbook up on Fantasy Alarm right now. So everyone go check that out. Get your lineups in for sure. By the way, shout out to our producer Adam Bernard in the chat saying you mentioned you were leaning Vegas, but he said Vegas on the puck line -1.5 is the puck line there at +200 on BetMGM. These puck lines are so interesting to me with hockey because of the empty net goals right at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, a team could be winning, 3-2. The other team, the trailing team pulls their goalie for the last 2 minutes or whatever, and there's inevitably going to be a goal coming. I feel like the amount of times I've seen that every single playoffs is very high. But is that a bet? If you're leaning Vegas, why not take a chance on the puck line, right?
I mean, at that point, go with it. I think this game, though, might be still too close. I could see it going to overtime. Maybe not 4, because I need to get some sleep, but I could see it being close enough at that point where it's not going to be like a flip. Like I'm not expecting a 5-1 outcome kind of thing.
Yeah.
A little bit like yesterday's game, kind of just two teams feeling each other out, just playing tight. I don't see Dallas coming in to the fortress and just dominating from start to finish, or just pounding the net and getting shots on goal and just generating pace. I think these teams are just going to feel each other out. Plus 200 is definitely favorable. And like you said, with the empty net goal, if Vegas comes into it and they're up 2-1 and then there's 3 minutes left and something, and DeBoer says, this is it. This is the time we're going to do it. Coaches may want to pull that goalie really early. We're talking 3-4 minutes, try to get as much 6-on-5 time as you can. That's where it becomes a lot more favorable. But I just have this feeling we're going to see another one of those tight games that unfortunately we got to at least brew one cup of coffee for one overtime period. That's all I can take tonight. That's it.
Plus 200. I'm going to sprinkle something on it. Just for funsies.
How you're all about the plus money. I already know it.
I do love me some plus odds. I'm not going to lie. I definitely love me some plus odds. I mean, listen, you get, betting is, it's solid. If you're grinding, then you can live in that, minus 110 to minus 130 range and make your picks and stuff like that. But at some point you do have to kind of, take some shots and look at some plus money that's going on there. And I think, obviously you guys make a great point as far as empty netters go. And so, if you are favoring Vegas, I don't see it being bad if you just sprinkle a little. You don't even have to do a full unit, do a half unit on it, and just see what happens, because you're at least getting some decent odds enough on it that you can make a little something if that does happen. And if you're risking a half a unit, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's almost like throwing your cash game lineup into a GPP, like a $1 GPP, because you never know if it's going to hit. And when it does, you don't want to be on the wrong side of it. So you say, okay, well, I'll take my chances. And if you're wrong, well, you're wrong. But the upside definitely outweighs, right, the negative that could come from it.
Yeah. Before we let you go, in your predictions article, you mentioned you like Vegas in 6. Is that so? If people are looking to bet like exactas on the series prop, why in 6? And you think they get it done earlier than the series ain't going game 7?
I don't think we're going to see game 7 here, just because, again, I don't know if Dallas is going to figure it out. I want them to, but I don't think they do. And I don't think enough people are giving Vegas the credit that they deserve. Like, again, they made the Winnipeg Jets just look like a bad hockey team. And yes, they had injuries. And yes, they were coming into the playoffs playing absolutely terrible and everything wasn't working. But they still beat them, and they still went out there and did it quite handedly. And then they got past the Edmonton Oilers, and that is an accomplishment. Again, Stuart Skinner is not an elite goalie per se. They don't have any great elite defensemen on the back end, but they still have McDavid and Draisaitl who can just tear apart anything that's in front of them. McDavid had over 150 points, so why wouldn't he be able here? So to me, Dallas, yes, they have some depth. I think their defense is good enough to compete. But Jake Ottinger is just too much of a wild card here. It's going to take a road win at some point to be able to lock up this series. And, Dallas really didn't have that kind of killer instinct when they went into Seattle. They went there and it was just Seattle dominating for large portions of the game. They were dominating, just getting the puck down low, cycling it. That's the type of team that the Kraken are. Get it down low, cycle around, roll 4 lines. And it was very problematic. I mean, the defending champions couldn't deal with it. And then the Dallas Stars almost didn't get there as well. So I don't think it's going to go there. I don't think we see it in 5. It's just too early. I'm going to give Dallas a little bit of credit here. I think they can at least win maybe a game at home and kind of keep it, close. But evidently it's going to take a road win. And I don't think that the Vegas Golden Knights want to come back for game 7, right? Because game 7s are hard to win. You never know what happens when you get there. You have to have that killer instinct when you take a 3-2 lead at home to just say, hey, we're going to go finish this on the road and we got to go out and make sure we're not coming back. Even if we have that, that game in hand, it doesn't matter. You want to finish it there. Vegas played really well on the road when they went into Edmonton. Again, not easy to do. So there's just a lot of things that I like about them that can push at least 6 games. But 7 doesn't sound like it's fun. They're not going to sweep them either. So just process of elimination now.
All right. Well, Chris, we appreciate you coming on to talk some NHL playoffs with us. We'll surely bring you back. If you haven't already, go check out Chris's playbook for the DFS Showdown slate tonight and his predictions article, which I think the predictions articles are free. But get that All Pro subscription to get his DFS advice tonight. And by the way, you got Matt Deutsch commenting saying these NHL playoffs don't do it for me. Bring back Crosby and Ovechkin. But we got some new blood in the NHL playoffs this year.
Let's get some parity in here. I don't need to see Ovechkin or Crosby anymore. Give me something else.
Yeah. I know who does do it for us is Chris here. And by the way, follow him on Twitter, FuzzyChris91. on Twitter if you want some more picks, some more DFS advice there, and talk to him on the Discord too, as you guys always do. So, Chris, appreciate it, man. We'll bring you on again sometime soon, man.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, we got a couple more minutes here. Howard, you got any more bets MLB slate tonight that you want to get to before we get out of here, or are you all tapped out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give the farm away. Why not? Right? Let's just do it. It's part of the subscription, but who the hell cares? All right, so let's see. We've already talked Arizona. We dig that. I'll tell you what. I like this Colorado Rockies Texas Rangers game, and I've got that. I'm doing something that, well, I don't normally do. And the last time I did this with our friends in the Texas Rangers, it not only did it screw me, but it set me into this crazy tailspin. Do you remember when the Rangers blew 3 straight games to the Cincinnati Reds because the bullpen just kept getting shellacked? It was it was like the worst Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I've ever had. And it was abusive. It really was. But tonight, I gotta tell you, man, the Rockies just don't do it for me. They really don't. And I'll tell you why. So they have this big explosion, right? What was it? 11 runs on the other day. What's today? Today's Friday. So Wednesday, the Rockies, they put out 11 runs, and you're like, oh, damn. Look at what their numbers are. Like, they've got the 10th lowest weighted on base average over the past week, and that includes an 11-run game and a 6-game homestand at Coors Field. They're just not hitting. They struggle against lefties. Now, I don't like Martin Perez by any stretch of the imagination. I've never liked Martin Perez, but I'm actually going to back him against the Rockies. I just don't think the Rockies are a good, strong hitting team. It's a pitcher's park. So I'm going to take the home team on the run line. There's no value in the money line at all. I'm not going to, I don't even remember. I think I saw it and it was probably at 190. And I was like, you can't bet that. That's not for me. So
I think it's up to minus 225 now, I'm seeing.
Okay, which is great. But Corey Seager's back. They got this kid, Carl Kaufman, who's on the mound for Colorado tonight. And he's got a 7.58 ERA from just AAA alone. Granted, yes, it's the PCL and ERAs do get inflated in the Pacific Coast League, but I mean the dude he just hasn't been good. Hasn't looked good at all. I kind of feel like Colorado will dip into the bullpen more, but I see Texas getting off to a hot start. This bet is going to be rock solid unless the bullpen craps the bet again, which I'm not going to say is an impossibility here, but I'm willing to take the risk. I took Texas on the run line, -1.5, even as the home team. And I got it for -115 on BetMGM. So
yeah,
I felt pretty good about that one there. So that's the other best bet that I put out there.
I like that because the Rockies offense away from Coors, I mean, it's been that way for the last few years, but this year specifically, they have not been great away from home. And it's in this situation where if you have the offensive downgrade, but also when you're starting a pitcher like Kaufman, who, as you mentioned, coming up for his MLB debut, and not a great situation. So I like that run line. I would also look at the first 5 innings, if you want. I don't know what the juice is on that. Probably pretty hefty in the Rangers' favor, but maybe the run line on the first 5 innings too could be a way to go.
I'll take a look at that right now for you. Run line, first 5 innings. Wow, you're getting it at +100 there if you want to take Texas, but it's 1.5. It's not even the usual half-run standard.
Wow.
It's 1.5. So, I mean, I don't think that, I mean,
you could
it's tough.
I'm seeing DraftKings -175 for half a run. That's still pretty hefty. I don't know if I want to pay that.
Yeah, I'd rather take my if I'm going to sprinkle something, it's not going to be on this one here. I'll do it on the on the Vegas Golden Knights. And I'll feel okay about that.
I'll throw one more out from my end before we get going here. I like the Rays tonight on the run line, and also just pairing that up with Shane McClanahan over his strikeout prop at 7.5 right now. on DraftKings. McClannon's been dominant at home this year, 157 ERA, 34 to 8 K to walk ratio at home in those 4 home starts. So like the strikeout rate for sure is there, and he's had at least 9 strikeouts in each of his last 3 starts. So I'm seeing 7.5. I like that for him to get at least 8 against the Milwaukee offense, where anybody who's been betting on baseball this year or doing props or doing DFS, the Brewers against left-handed pitching is just a matchup we have to target. And you look at immediately, league leading strikeout rate, 30.6% against left-handed pitching this year. It's been the same thing over the last couple weeks. Last 2 weeks, it's above 30% again against left-handed starters. So immediately I saw this matchup, and it's Shane McClanahan at home, where he's been so dominant. The Rays are 8-1 in his starts this year, and 7 of those 8 wins have been by at least 2 runs. So I see the run line at home, as you mentioned earlier. It's like a little risky, but I just think the Rays are going to win comfortably here, especially because they're facing a righty and Adrian Hauser on the other side. And the Rays against right-handed pitching this year is an MLB best 362 WOBA. And it's been that way over the last couple of weeks. Over the past week, it's up to 369 WOBA against righties. So I see the Rays here. I think they're going to win easily. I could see it being, a 2 to 3 run lead when McClanahan leaves, and I think the bullpen could easily keep it up for him. So I like those.
Listen, anytime you want to back Shane McClanahan, I am definitely in on that 100%. The Tampa Bay bullpen, it has been, I'll say this, it's my only reservation. The Tampa Bay bullpen over the past week has an ERA north of 8.5. Yeah. All right. And they've been kind of overworked. They've thrown like 27, just over 27 innings in the past 7 days. And so, the bullpen gets a little tired. And I always kind of worry about something like that. But to your point, Milwaukee also, whether it's a lefty or a righty, I mean, we're talking about, a strikeout rate around 30%. So you kind of have to, look at that, because Tampa Bay, bullpen it was solid early on. And maybe the fact that Pete Fairbanks is back, maybe that'll, help solidify things a little bit more. He's just coming back. But yeah, just something to think about. I'd be all in. What's your first 5 innings for that one here? First 5 innings, Tampa Bay minus a run and a half. It's still a run and a half, but it's plus 115.
Well, what you could do? Ooh. We could parlay the Rangers and the Rays together. How about that?
Getting a little dangerous.
We're both a little bit on the edge with our run lines here, but if we just parlay those money lines, why not?
I got to tell you, you know what? I mean, I've definitely been getting a little bit more into because I've always said this. People who chase the long odds and they chase the same game parlay are running a very, very dangerous game. Like, yeah. I get it. The allure of cashing out on something that's plus 850, something that's plus 1,300. Like, I understand the allure of that. But, how many times do you see a 4 or 5 leg parlay get crushed by 1 leg? And then you're losing your money. That's how the books are making their money. Now, the books have definitely tightened up. Now, here we are almost, a month and a half into the season. And the books have definitely tightened up. You look at money lines, run line bets, and it gets a little crazy there. So I've started to now look because some of these bets that, I want to make are like minus 150, minus 160, that, if I'm going to parlay it with a prop, like today I did with Zach Gallen on his strikeouts or Mookie Betts with his total bases. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to start seeing my value, and I'm going to start doing that a little bit more and just kind of see how it goes. So, I'm a little under for MLB. Here's the worst part, is I haven't had a losing MLB season betting wise in at least 5 or 6 years. Like, I'm not making this isn't like hands over fist, thousands and thousands of dollars, but I'm just kind of grinding, because then I like to take my bankroll from MLB and flip that over to when football starts. So right now I'm down in MLB, but I think if I start doing parlaying these up with a prop, one game total, or one game bet and one prop bet, I think I'll be able to put myself back on the straight and narrow here, Servo.
Yeah, I like that. That's actually one thing I've done. I think it's on FanDuel, where it's most common, where you can do alternate strikeout props and say, so this game, like the Rays, are huge favorites, but you can parlay that with McClanahan just to have 5+ strikeouts and get it at pretty good odds there. He doesn't need to go the full 7 or 8 strikeouts like his prop says, but if he just gets 5 and the Rays win, that's something I've done in the past this season and in years past when it's just like a big favorite, and you can get an alternate prop and kind of same game parlay that. Not going crazy with like a 5-legger, but yeah, just the little ones. All right, well, we're going to wrap up here. Appreciate everyone tuning in on the Bettor Sports Network app, on Twitter, YouTube pages, wherever you're watching. And we'll be back 4 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Eastern every day next week and going forward, talking MLB best bets, any sport best bets. We'll have guys on to talk golf, UFC, everything in between. So definitely tune in. Howard, appreciate you joining me on this first show here. We're going strong. We're gonna go into next week with our heads held high after we go 7-0 on our picks, right?
Absolutely, man. It's the power of positive thinking. And then you know what? And then we're please 7-0 on the best bets, and then we've got coming up right Impemba and Grande for the DFS. So I got to hold some money back because I got to build lineups with them too.
Yeah. Tune into that, by the way, at 5 o'clock Eastern, as you do every day, the Quick Pitch MLB DFS live show in Pemba and Grande. And then after that, we got the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball podcast airing at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Campus to Canton after that at 7 p.m. Eastern, all in the Bettor Sports Network app. So go check that out. And check Howard's article out, as I mentioned, the All-Pro subscription at Fantasy Alarm. If you haven't already done so, his MLB best bets are up, and get those DFS lineups in for NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs. Howard, appreciate it as always, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure, Servo.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.